So the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And when Mahatma Gandhi first uttered those words, little did he know that one day the Peace Corps and Rotary International would come together with a common mission of worldwide service, bringing together a combined 176 years of promoting a giver's mindset. So welcome to Peace Corps Volunteers, fellow Rotarians, honored guests. My name is Jonathan Nicholas, and I have the privilege of serving as a member of the Zoom Expert Support Team, ZEST, for tonight's seminal event. And for the benefit of all of our attendees, we ask you to follow 4 basic principles of Zoom etiquette. First, please have your screen name just be your first name and your last name. Second, we ask that everyone remain on listen-only mode until you're instructed to turn on your microphone. Third, please use the chat function throughout tonight's program for questions and comments. We love receiving your feedback. And finally, fourth, during the audience participation of today's event, we invite you to raise your virtual hand. You can do so by clicking on the reactions button at the bottom of your screen and choosing the raise hand feature. And most importantly, if you experience any technical difficulties during tonight's program, my email address is going to be in the chat right now, and I'll put it in there a few other times. It's simply jonathan@pettinellifp.com. Again, it's going to be in the chat function. I'll be monitoring that throughout the course of the night. If there are no more questions, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce to you the MC for tonight. Madeline Kellner served in the Peace Corps in Guatemala from 2016 to 2018, and again late last year in Peru until she was evacuated in March. She serves on the boards of the NorCal Peace Corps Association and the Marin Conservation League. She makes her home in Novato, and she lives to hike. Ladies and gentlemen, here to take you the rest of the way, please welcome Madeline Kellner.
Thank you, Jonathan, for that wonderful introduction and for the Zoom etiquette tips. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance today. We're very excited to see such a great turnout. And what the topic of today is partnerships through Rotary and Peace Corps. It is sponsored by the Rotary District 5150 and the NorCal Peace Corps Association. We are taking local what our Rotary and Peace Corps colleagues have established at the national level in 2014 through the Partnering for Peace organization. Our hope is that after learning about how Rotarians and returned Peace Corps volunteers have already worked together, that you will be inspired to sign up for upcoming service programs and to explore more partnerships for service with Rotarians and returned Peace Corps volunteers in your community. You will have an opportunity to ask questions later in the program. So please, as you listen today, put your questions into the chat and we'll have a chance to entertain them a little bit later. So let's get started. Our first speaker is Denise Brown Guzman. Denise is the NorCal Peace Corps Association Board President. She served in Morocco from 2007 to 2009 as a youth development volunteer. Currently, she works for the University of Notre Dame as Associate Director of Evidence and Learning. She lives in San Jose, but is joining us tonight from South Bend, Indiana. Thank you, Denise.
Great. Thank you so much for introducing me, Madeline, and thank you all for joining us tonight. I believe that someone will be sharing my slides. Oh, there they are. Fantastic. So I'm so happy to be joining you all this evening. I'm presenting tonight on an overview of the Peace Corps, which you may already be familiar with, but I hope you'll learn a few things. And I'll also be talking a bit about our NorCal Peace Corps Association. First, so just starting with the Peace Corps. The Peace Corps was founded in 1961 by President John F. Kennedy. Since then, over 200,000 Americans have served in the Peace Corps in a total of 142 countries. The organization has 3 goals. First, to provide skilled labor in under-resourced areas. Second, to promote a better understanding of Americans in the host countries in which we serve. And third, to promote a better understanding of other cultures among Americans. After we serve, we're always working on that third goal. Bob, can you go on the next slide? Great. So in terms of sectoral focus, we have a ton of synergy with Rotary International. The biggest sector that the Peace Corps works in is education and youth development. And there's a lot of overlap that we can take advantage of. I think we see here 2 images of the sectoral focuses of both Rotary and Peace Corps, and we see that there is a lot of overlap between the 2. What I understand is that US-based Rotary clubs can often get a lot of assistance with their international projects from local Peace Corps volunteers who are in the communities where Rotary projects are occurring. Next slide. And lastly, just to bring it to our Peace Corps affiliate groups, a quick search of the National Peace Corps Association website lets you know that there are 182 affiliate groups currently associated with the Peace Corps. These are across all regions where the Peace Corps serves and all regions of the United States, along with groups associated with different subgroups of interest. For example, I'm a member of the Friends of Morocco Peace Corps group. And I'm also currently serving as the president of the NorCal Peace Corps Association, which, as I've listed here, our membership changes frequently, but we're typically regarded as the 2nd largest Peace Corps association in the United States, second to Washington, D.C. Here in the Bay Area, we cover 5 regions, from the North Bay down south to Monterey. We organize regular social events for our members in each region, and we're trying to achieve 3 goals. First, to continue making the world a better place through community service and offering small grants for community development projects in the regions where our association is located. And second, to advocate for the needs and goals of the Peace Corps and the Peace Corps community. And lastly, to continue that 3rd goal I referenced earlier of promoting a better understanding of people from other countries among Americans. So I'll leave it at that. I hope that gives you a quick overview of the Peace Corps and the Peace Corps affiliate groups, and we'd love to talk more about ways that we can collaborate throughout this evening.
Thank you, Denise. That was very helpful and good overview. Now we're going to hear from Danielle Laliment, who is the district governor for District 5150. Danielle is a unit director at the University of California Medical Center, San Francisco, managing both the COVID and ICU, the COVID plus ICU at the UCSF Mount Zion campus, and the surgical oncology ICU at the UCSF Mission Bay campus. A committed Rotarian since 2007, Danielle is credited with founding the San Francisco Evening Rotary Club in 2013 and helping to create and charter the Castro Rotary Club in San Francisco in 2016. So let's welcome Danielle, who will give us a little overview more on the Rotary side. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Madeline. It's wonderful to be here with everyone this evening. And thank you for joining us for this special session. Tonight is exciting as we hear more about the collaboration and partnership of Rotary International and the Peace Corps. Rotary began with the idea of one man, a man named Paul Harris, who wanted to create fellowships with his business associates. So in 1905, he connected with 3 of his other business associates to begin a fellowship, and they would rotate between offices for their meetings, which in turn created Rotary. This also in turn created a network of people and clubs with like minds who wanted to use their talents and expertise to help our world. Today, Rotary unites people from all of our continents and cultures, and they take action to deliver real, long-term solutions for all of our issues that occur in our world. We apply our professional experience and our personal commitment to find new and effective ways to enhance health, stability, and prosperity across the globe. Through volunteering, our 1.16 million members make lifelong friendships that transcend political and cultural boundaries and foster global understanding and respect. What began as a group of 4 men has turned into over 35,000 clubs in at least 200 countries and territories. In all, Rotaract, Rotary, and Interact members are dedicated to serving our world. As an organization, we do strive to support in 7 areas of focus, which include basic education and literacy, disease prevention and treatment, maternal and child health, peace building and conflict resolution, community and economic development, water and sanitation, and this year, protecting our environment. So while Rotary, Rotaract, and Interact clubs may focus on their own priorities, most are active in one of these areas of focus. Rotary is dedicated to causes that build international relationships, improve lives, and create a better world to support our peace efforts. And it is through our collaboration and partnerships with organizations like the Peace Corps that we find success. We can't do this alone, and we can do this together. So tonight, again, I just want to welcome you to this session. I'm very excited for the collaboration that we will have from this, and I look forward to working with all of you on future projects. So Madeline, thank you again.
Thank you, Danielle. I learned something tonight. Now I know why it's called Rotary. That I never knew that. So you learn something every day. Our next speaker is Jenny Wolfs-Durrani, and Jenny is a twofer. She is a returned Peace Corps volunteer, and she's also a Rotarian. Jenny works in the field of clinical research and is a co-founder of Asili Research Alliance, a social impact organization. She is a returned Peace Corps volunteer and serves on the board of NorCal PCA, and I believe returned Peace Corps volunteer from Tanzania. She also serves on the board of the Rotary Club of Peninsula Starlight Foundation. Jenny, take it away.
Thank you, Madeline. I will go ahead and be sharing my own screen here. Okay, can everybody see that? Yes, okay, so thank you. And thank you all for attending tonight. We heard about the Peace Corps, we heard about Rotary, and I'll kind of bring it together and talk about different ways that we can collaborate and why we should collaborate. So as Madeline mentioned, I did serve as a Peace Corps volunteer in Tanzania, teaching science at an all-girls boarding school in a rural village. A few years ago, a Tanzanian friend and I started Asili Research Alliance, a nonprofit focusing on HIV in Tanzania. I joined both NorCal Peace Corps Association and the Rotary Club of Peninsula Starlight to have a meaningful connection to international work, as well as to support my own community on the peninsula. Over the few years that I've been in both, I've found that people in Rotary and Peace Corps have a lot in common. We all share a commitment to improving lives and building stronger communities, and we all like to have a good time, as you can see in the couple of the pictures on this slide. So by working together, Rotary and Peace Corps can enhance goodwill, increase international understanding, and build capacity in communities around the world. Peace Corps volunteers, so Peace Corps volunteers have a lot to offer. Peace Corps volunteers serving in the field and returned Peace Corps volunteers, which we just call RPCVs, in case we love acronyms in the Peace Corps, can be a great resource for Rotary Club's international projects. Volunteers live integrated in the local community, so they have cultural insight and know the assets and gaps of their area. Volunteers and RPCVs have community development expertise, proficiency of local language, and can make introductions to key people in country. Returned Peace Corps volunteers are also great at pitching in for volunteer service here at home. And if you're affiliated with the Peace Corps, getting involved with a local Rotary Club can be very beneficial, whether you're working on a project, looking for a job, or just miss international or service work. Rotary members are often established in their professional career and well-connected in the community. They can offer guidance to newly returned volunteers and volunteers looking to start a new project in their country of service. Rotary has a strong record of successful projects, especially in certain areas like water, health, and sanitation. Members can assist with training and technical support even virtually. Rotary clubs can also help with fundraising for projects. For example, my club organized a fundraiser called 100 Points of Light for several local nonprofits, and this helped raise a substantial amount for Asili Research Alliance. And on the flip side, the Mbezi Beach Rotary Club in Tanzania just applied for funds through the Peace Corps Small Grants Program to improve sanitation facilities at a local dispensary. So the more we collaborate, the more we all benefit. So how do we get the ball rolling? How do we get started? Here are some ideas. So on the Rotary side, you can get in contact with the local Peace Corps affiliate group. That's really the first place to start. And invite an RPCV to speak at your club meeting through a speakers match program. This is a program that will match you with a Peace Corps volunteer or RPCV, either based on the country they served in or the different programs that they were involved with in their projects. If you can invite RPCVs to volunteer with a service or project, and that is good for either side. Volunteering together is a great way to get to know people. If Rotary hosts a Peace Corps Welcome Home Party, this will introduce you to the newly returned volunteers. And after coming home after 2 years abroad, a lot of times people are looking for ways to connect to the community and to get a job. So it's a great time to meet new volunteers or new people coming home. International Rotary clubs can invite the Peace Corps country director or Peace Corps volunteer to speak about their work. And on the Peace Corps side, again, you start with just contacting your local Rotary club, invite Rotary members to networking and social events, volunteer together, whatever your volunteering projects are, beach cleanup or food bank. In-country staff can invite a local Rotary member to speak during service training, and Peace Corps country directors can reach out to Rotary district governors to learn about priorities in country. And we will be sending out a document that has all the pertinent contact information, as well as a guide put together by Partnerships for Peace. So the more that people collaborate and work together, the more that recruitment will just be organic. RPCVs make great Rotarians, and Rotary members can join the Peace Corps for a 2-year program or as a short-term response volunteer. So now we'll hear about 2 wonderful projects that were implemented through a partnership between Peace Corps and Rotary. One is an international project and one is a local project here in the Bay Area. Thank you. Oh. Sorry, I forgot to stop my share here. Okay.
Right. Thanks, Jenny. That was very informative and great examples and more for us to follow up on later. I want to introduce our next speaker, who is Steve Carlson, who you see here on the screen. Steve served in the Peace Corps as a health and sanitation volunteer in Morocco's high Atlas Mountains. He joined the Rotary Club of San Carlos as a way to reconnect with the host community in Morocco, and served as his club's president in 2018 to 2019. Steve is a lawyer with the firm Robbins Kaplan, specializing in intellectual property law, and we look forward to hearing about and seeing your project in action, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you all for the kind introduction. And yeah, I joined Rotary back in 2013 as a way to reconnect with my old Peace Corps roots. I served in the mid-90s in Morocco, and I really had been out of touch. And I thought I could do a water project perhaps in my old Peace Corps village. So I'm very excited right now to show you, it's really the world premiere of a video montage. I got this last week. This is brand new. We're wrapping up a project that we led in my old Peace Corps village. I'm super excited and hopefully this works. Let me share it. Okay, here it goes. The aqueduct seen here, that's what we just built. See, 4 pictures. That's 4 pictures. Same spot. That's what we got now. It's a good way to irrigate. Same guy, same spot. That's the host club in Marrakesh. Laundry station for women for laundry. Club in Marrakesh helped us. Always about hospitality. Okay, hopefully that worked. That there we go. So good. I see. Okay, I see some comments. I should have talked louder, but I'm glad that worked at least well enough. And I'm going to share now the presentation, the PowerPoint, to give a little more background about this. Pardon me. Oops. Okay. Does that show? Can I get some thumbs up? That's good. Very good. So this is my old town of 8 Dowd, where I was a Peace Corps volunteer. And you see on the left, the old irrigation ditch. This was the lifeline for the fields. And now it looks, it's a robust aqueduct, cement aqueduct with proper steel doors. So I was a Peace Corps volunteer back in the day. That's me, you know, many, many years ago. And they told me a story. I'll say it in Berber, which is Dima Yusuf, Dima Atatsit Lawin Ilrango Breed, which is always pack a warm lunch for the road. And when he told me this, I was literally in an almond tree whacking down almonds. And I said, look, I don't get it. I don't have a thermos. Any food I pack is going to be cold at the time I'm out of town. He said, oh, you do not understand. You're young. I speak not of foodstuffs, but of generosity. Be generous and your reputation will go far. And when you hike to a distant village, your reputation will precede you, and therein you will find your lunch fresh from the fire. And I've tried to adopt that warm lunch mentality, and with Rotary, I think we've achieved it. So Morocco is in the northwest corner of Africa, and we are way up in the mountains, in the high Atlas Mountains in the middle of the country. And I didn't know what to do, but I knew we needed money, and we needed Rotary, we needed people behind it, so we threw a party. And in fact, I threw, I think, 5 or 6 of these parties. Reuben's for Rotary. I like the food thing, like cure my own pastrami and cheeses, and we bake the bread and all that kind of stuff. We throw good parties, and we raise a lot of money in that backyard throwing, you know, making pastrami sandwiches. And but we didn't know what to do. So we sent a scout up there, and they sent back this picture of this irrigation ditch that they wanted to improve with concrete. Like, wow, you know, we could do that. We can do that. You know, we're in Silicon Valley. We make self-driving cars and smartphones and cure cancer. We can line a ditch with concrete. We can do this. So you need a partner. One thing about Rotary, it's an incredible international organization. And if you do an international project, you need a club in that host country. And the club of Marrakesh Majorelle is a women's club, and they're great at doing this kind of projects. And we also partner with Corps Africa, which is like a Peace Corps group in Morocco. It's like volunteers in Moroccan students who graduate and become volunteers to serve in Morocco. It's a wonderful group. So we wanted them on the ground because it was going to be a big project. And I wanted people on the ground in the village. So we had 2 volunteers serve in the village. So what do? We built this aqueduct. The government did the first half, the blue line and the green line, the government did. And then we took it, Rotary took it, the red line is what the San Carlos Club did. And then the white line, the Rotary Club of Redwood City finished it. So thank you to, you know, all who, it's been a massive project. And contributions up and down the district and Rotary, the contributions have been really amazing. So Rotary is just a machine. When it comes to a project that resonates with people, it just clicks. And just kind of going through the numbers, we knew we needed to build about 2,200 meters of aqueduct. I don't know how much that cost. We found out, we priced it out, it's about $120 a meter, which is actually pretty good, you know, pretty reasonable price. We got several bids, and this is a good price. But still, that math works out to, you know, well over $200,000. Like, wow, that's a lot of money. I threw a lot of parties, and we raised in our backyard $52,470, which is not bad, right? For, you know, Reuben sandwiches in your backyard. But that's not $200,000. But Rotary is a machine on this. So one, for your cash, now this is all changing a bit, but for this project, we were to match that cash. So for every $100 that we raised, Rotary, for every $1,000, Rotary would chip in $500 extra. So our $52,000 became $78,000. That's cool. But then each club chipped in what I call Rotary bucks. The acronym is DDF. But these clubs, each club has these Rotary bucks, and they contributed these Rotary bucks to the project. And those get matched at 1-to-1 by Rotary International. So the $62,585 in Rotary bucks got matched 1-to-1. So we had 125,000 there. Suddenly I had over $200,000. I'm like, we're doing this project. It's going to work. And we got pretty far. And then the San Carlos, the Redwood City Club finished the rest. So that's how Rotary kicked into action and made this all work. And just a few more shots of construction. This is old school construction, very little mechanization. It's rocks, cement. It's, some rebar that was bent into, manually bent into shape. Old school stuff, forming the sides of it with wood and all that. And then our partners in this were Corps Africa, those volunteers in Morocco, the Moroccan volunteers. And they spotted the need to do these washing stations. So we built 2 sets of these washing stations, one in 8 down, another up the road in 8 Muso down. And this is a very special part of the project because it really, the laundry is backbreaking. And instead of having to wash in the river with, drying the clothes on bramble, they're able to wash in these nice basins and with proper clothing lines and all that. So a nice contribution. I really was very happy with that. And thanks to Redwood City, who really stepped up to finish the project. So anyway, there we have it. And I'm happy to take questions after we're all done. Thank you all, and I'll stop sharing.
Wow, Steve, so inspiring, very inspiring. Thank you. Thank you for video and for explaining how you raise the funds. That's really good for us to know. So our next project is focusing on right here in California. And the 2 people that are going to speak about that, I'm going to introduce. The first is Nalini Elkins, who's a member of the Carmel Valley Rotary and served in the Peace Corps in Togo, West Africa. She's the CEO and founder of a small high-tech company, Inside Products. And in her spare time, she also writes standards for the internet. With her tonight is Frank Price, who served in the Peace Corps in Côte d'Ivoire as a teaching English as a foreign language teacher and a basketball coach. He's the vice president of the NorCal Peace Corps Association and holds leadership roles with a number of nonprofits, including the Commonwealth Club. He's the vice president of Team Building Unlimited, which is a Bay Area-based consultancy. So Nalini and Frank, take it away. Let us hear about what you're up to here in Northern California.
Well, thank you, Madeline. Thank you, everybody, for the wonderful opportunity to present our project to you. And thank you, Steve. I thought that was incredibly inspirational. After the return of all of the Peace Corps volunteers in the field, and after the educational shutdown in the classroom system, John Bost, Nalini, and myself, all 3 of us returned Peace Corps volunteers who served in West Africa at different times and different locations, worked together to start the stewardship of the Commons Foundation with the goal of bridging the digital divide that was egregious and visible across the state. All 3 of us have had experience in the educational and business world. All 3 of us learned how to work in different cultures and be successful. We set about building a grassroots program to mitigate and alleviate this divide. We discovered that too many students were falling behind and not feeling being part of a system that would help the advance. Digital fatigue was setting in, and students were not motivated enough to encourage to make use of the digital resources available to them. Migrant students and children of migrants were among the populations falling behind, and we are exploring ways to help motivate and encourage students to be active learners. Nalini will explain to you what we have done, what we're doing, and where we are going. Take it away, Nalini.
Thanks so much, Frank, and thanks so much, Madeline. And Steve, you're a hard act to follow. But let me tell you a little bit, let me set the context here a little bit. So Greenfield is in Monterey County. I live in Monterey County, And Monterey County is one of the most, I mean, it's one of the worst in terms of, I suppose, people who have a lot and people who don't have a lot. Because we have, of course, we have Pebble Beach, which you guys may have heard of, where starter homes are $4 million. You know, I think you have some of those kind of areas in the Bay Area. All the way down to where a lot of the migrant workers, the farm workers live. Greenfield is one such town. We call it South County, and the demographics of South County, among others, are very, very different. 80% Hispanic, first generation, of course, Spanish speaking. And next slide, please. And what we did, again, we really did it as we did Peace Corps, is we don't want to come in and bless something on this community. And so we went down there, and we were fortunate enough to have some people with us who had very deep and long contacts in Greenfield. So what we did is what we did in Peace Corps, is we went down there, we had lunch with people, we sat around the table and said, you know, what's the problem? We talked to parents, because being in tech, one of the things that's bothered me for many, many years is, of course, the digital divide, which during this era of COVID has become a Grand Canyon. And many of the, a lot of kids are falling right in, and they're lost. They're lost. But it's very difficult to know what to do. And so what I'm going to show you is a project that we've been working on for about the last 6 months. This is very much a work in progress. And next slide, please. So here we are. This is John, myself, and Frank. And our project advisor, Dr. Renate Funk, she has long and deep roots in Greenfield. And then Jason is the president of our Carmel Valley Rotary Club. And we go down to Greenfield face to face approximately about once a month. It's about 30 miles away from where I live, and a world away. Next slide, please. So just a real quick note about stewardship of the commons. What we want to do is continue to make a difference, just as we did. You know, so as I say, 30 miles away, you can see the very same problems that we saw 3,000, 6,000 miles away. Next slide, please. So what's our vision for this youth thriving? Well, it's got to be multi-year. This is not a problem that's going to be solved in 2 months, 3 months, whatever. It's also a problem that a lot of people have tried to solve. And so we wanted to get to some of the root causes. And I'll tell you what some of those that we found we believe are in collaboration with the community. So what our idea is kids like to be in groups, teenagers. And right now what we're focusing on is high school teenagers, high school kids. And they're very, very influenced by their peers. And so we thought, well, heck, why don't we start groups of kids who meet regularly after school in the community? And I'll show you some of the spots. And we call them extended homework help centers. And how you're going to motivate them is, well, if you do real well, you come all the time, you raise your grades. This is not just you just sit there. This is not a participation trophy. You know, I'm an engineer, all right, man. We need some metrics. So does the teacher say that you're doing better? You turning your homework in? All right, great. Your grades going up? All right, real good, real good. And so what we're going to do is we're going to motivate you by providing you a summer or other internship. And the reason that's a motivating factor, and this was in collaboration with the community and the counselors that we came up with this idea, is because a lot of that community, money is a real factor. And both the parents are working, maybe working in the field. The families are living maybe 3-4 families to a home. Money is an issue. Money is an issue. Getting a job is an issue. A lot of us, we can just make a phone call. We have lots of social networks. You make a phone call to somebody and say, hey, you know what? My kid needs a job. Can you hire him? And lo and behold, the kid at least has an interview. Then they got it, at least they got an interview. But a lot of these folks, they can't do that. Next slide, please. So there's a lot of problems, and this is one of the parents, and this is Dr. Funk. As I say, we walked around just like you did in the Peace Corps. Walked around, talked to the parents, and said, "What do you see going on? Is the school helping you? What's going on? What's wrong?" And it was real interesting, and because the problems are a lot more than digital. They have, because of the CARES Act and all these other things, they've got computers. Yes, Wi-Fi is an issue, but it's not as bad as you'd think. It's the motivation. It's the motivation that's the problem. And and as I said, the language and cultural issues we'll get to. That's, as I say, that's year 2. First year, let's get the motivation. Let's get these kids in. Let's get them going. One step at a time. Okay. Next slide, please. So here's our first Homework Help Center. This was the first guy who jumped on board. As I said, this is the Plaza Bakery, and we sat around the Plaza Bakery and talked and said, what's going on? What do you think we should do? How do you think we can help kids? And so he said, yes, I've wanted to do this for years. You can use the Plaza Bakery. I'll tell you a little bit later about what we need, but okay, so that's Center 1. Next slide, please. Then we went over to the public library. My God, I can't say enough about public libraries. In our own, they say that we've got a little sign, something like everybody's equal here, and that's how it is at the public library. You come in and it's such a resource for so many people. And the gal there, Dawn, she's the head librarian, and Melissa, she's one of the helpers. Again, they met with us and they're like, sure, great idea. You can have the library. We got a room. Okay, next slide, please. We talked to the high school. We met with the counselors. The counselors are a part of our core team. And the principal, when we met with the principal said, you know what? You guys can have our, part of the library. You guys can meet here too. And so, as I say, and you need to have community support. You need to have community support from everybody, to make something like this happen. Next slide, please. So here we are. And so right now, we made this present where we are right now. As I said, it's about a 6-month-long project. We've made a presentation to Greenfield City Council. They're totally on board. And in fact, the city manager is working with us. And we've also talked to, there's a 5-city consortium in South County. We're talking to them. We met with them. And so, as I say, we're the next things that we've got to do is, well, there's a couple things. One, we need people who will hire, and we need them locally in Greenfield. We're not ready to send kids out yet. We need them right here. And it's fine. You can be, because, you can be a cashier. That's fine. It's your first job. These are juniors and seniors in high school. They can be gophers. It's all right. They don't need to be, the NASA director or somebody. Just get them a job. And then of course we need motivated people who can be staffing these homework help centers. And our first thought, of course, was, hey, you know what? Let's get an AmeriCorps volunteer, you know, because the school they have these tutoring programs. So you basically, you know, you can just go online and that tutoring program is available, but they got to use it. That's the problem. They got to use it. So let me stop talking now and see if anybody has thoughts, ideas, if any of this makes any sense to you. Yeah, there we are.
Wow, how inspiring, and in real time, your example and using, you know, classic, those of you who have served in the Peace Corps can hear sort of the classic approach of really looking at what the community wants and their own assets and working with them directly. So very, very inspiring. So now we've heard from an international project and we've heard from a local project. Now we have an opportunity to hear from you and your questions. And I think Jenny and Matoni are going to help a bit with our questions. I haven't looked at the chat yet, but it looks like we may have some questions in the chat. If you have questions, please put them in the chat, and we will answer your questions. Just a minute here, where it looks like a lot of what we're seeing here is more comments. We really appreciate your positive feedback.
And I'll just pipe in and say that feel free to direct the questions to a particular person as well.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a question, Madeline, because you came back from Guatemala, oh, actually Peru, right? And because of COVID-19, and we started kind of work together, then you expand this idea. What do you think, how do you bring this back to Peru to work to help you, you know, with a Rotary collaboration when if you go back to the Peace Corps?
Sylvia is saying is that my husband and I served together and we have applied to reinstate. And right now, it's not clear when that's going to happen. But meanwhile, there are some ways that we can work together. We're already very honored, Sylvia, that the Sunrise Club here in Novato did support some of our work last year with the nonprofit there, with their COVID emergency response. And there are ways that that clubs can be working with recently returned Peace Corps volunteers to fill those kinds of needs. That was a local club that donated, but I think there are some ways. I think Steve modeled it beautifully, where we can identify needs in the country and then work with our local clubs and international to fulfill those needs. And the needs that we recognized last year are still going on. There's still COVID response. There's still emergency. There's still many things that we can work on together, Sylvia. So we can certainly be in dialogue again about those opportunities.
So we have a question on chat really quickly. So Jackie Bonner says, my Rotary Club worked with the Peace Corps on an annual Women's Empowerment Conference for several years in Togo. We wanted to continue, but the contact people in Washington, D.C. became impossible to reach because of changes in roles by the volunteers as they move on in life, and we had to drop our support. How can we make sure to keep in touch with each other as the volunteers move on? So Danis, that might be geared towards you as a Peace Corps. How do we get in contact with Peace Corps volunteers or Peace Corps volunteers when they come home from country?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say that they are fairly protective of Peace Corps volunteers in country. So there is a bit of a process you have to go to find out who is in what community and how to get in touch with them. But we do have quite a robust club here in NorCal. And we do have volunteers that have served in many countries. So that could be a way to start to make that connection. And then I think we can also reach out to Peace Corps here as is possible. Madeline, would you have anything to add to that from your experience connecting Rotary and Peace Corps volunteers?
Well, I mean, I think that just to give you an example, tonight's program is the result of 4 or 5 months of work that all started because Keith Axtell from the Marin Evening Club here in Marin County reached out to our Peace Corps president, our NorCal Peace Corps president, and said, look, I'm looking for ways to partner. Can you help me? And I put my hand up at a board meeting and said, hey, I'll reach out to Keith. And this is the result. So please, if you have interest, reach out to any of us that are represented here this evening, particularly Denny's, who's our president, and we will link you up. So I'm really sorry, Jackie, that happened, but reach out again, and we'd really be eager to partner with you on that women's empowerment project. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have questions rolling in now, and we do see that Terry Voigt has his hand up, but I'll read another question first that came in prior. Sorry, Terry. We will get to you though. So this one is for you, Steve. Could they please clarify how the Rotary, I'm sorry, this is for Nalini and Frank, how the Rotary Club is participating in the planning of the youth program.
Good question. I'm going to defer to Nalini on this because she is a Rotarian. Very supportful.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. Well, okay, so what we're doing is how do I say? A lot of the guys, a lot of the folks are helping plan. What we're trying to do is figure out what's required in terms of the financial commitment. You know what I mean? Because and who can pick it up. And so everybody's kind of like, because first it's like we need to have this thing settle out. This is still really, really new, and we're thinking about our first start date as being October. But then we've got to get our internships. We've got to make sure we have the pilot program. Everybody's got to get fingerprinted and all that. And we need to know exactly how much money we're talking about. And then I think the folks will be helping me to fundraise. Having said that, we may be able to get funds from city government itself, which will be great. But as I say, if people are, what's happening is my Rotary Club is helping me think right now. Yeah. And then if we need to raise money, well, that's what we'll do. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Terry Vogt, do you want to? Oh, great.
Yeah, thank you. This has been a great evening for a lot of reasons. One is I think you are starting to unlock a lot of ways that Rotary clubs can actually be much more effective in leveraging what they want to do in places around the world. Quick background, I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Brazil, and I overstayed. I was there 1968 to 72. And most of the places I've lived in my life actually no longer have Peace Corps. Because I lived in Brazil. Brazil no longer has Peace Corps. I lived in Mexico. Mexico has had some, but it's a little iffy. And I have lived in Costa Rica, so there's some things I would always love to do in Costa Rica. Our club, about 10 or 15 years ago, had a really good short-term project with no follow-up, however, with an Afro-Ecuadorian community in Ecuador. And it was really fun to do, but it was sort of one of these where we just had to trust and send money. I think what I heard from both Steve and Nalini and Jennifer is really heartening, because if you're looking for things, the ways to do things that are longer term, have more impact, I think the idea, particularly in involving return Peace Corps volunteers as sort of your support and getting them, it's sort of a backdoor way to get more Peace Corps people into Rotary as well. But I can't thank all of you enough for talking about this.
Very cute, but
Right.
nothing major.
I'm done.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you. We have now a question for Steve from Bob Jacobson. Steve, you mentioned a women's only Rotary Club in Morocco. Is that common? What's the background on that group?
I don't know how common. I may be the only one. What happened is at the disc assembly, Bob, that we know about that. I asked Jerry Fujimoto, who's I think on this somewhere, for a contact in Morocco, because I didn't know anybody in Rotary in Morocco. And to do an international project, you need to have a club in that country to do it. And so Jerry reached out to the district governor in that region, which is like Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, right? And they said that club in Marrakesh was the mover and shaker to get things done. So maybe a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence at all, but the women's club is the mover and shaker to get things done. So that's how I got put in touch with them. And I think I don't know of any others that are a purely a women's club, but I tell you, that group is just, they're fantastic. They got so much energy. They got all these projects going on, and they're a lot of fun. I've been very enriched by getting to work with them. It's been terrific. But I never spoken so much French in my life. I mean, I took it in, high school, a little in college, but I gave a talk for 45 minutes in French to that group, and I was pooped after that for having to conjugate that many verbs. But a lot of fun.
Okay, we have another question from, I think that's Cam Shaden. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. The most pressing issue in the Bay Area seems to be homelessness. Has consideration been given by the two groups to join together and make a difference? I think that could be for anyone. I think that's a great project for both of us to focus on. I would say maybe, actually, I mean, I'll say one thing. It's not homelessness, but it's hunger. Our group does, Peninsula Starlight Rotary Club does sandwiches on Sunday, which helps with hunger. I'm not sure if any other Rotary clubs or Peace Corps have projects working on homelessness.
Terry might have his hand up.
Yeah, we and I'm a member of the Rotary Club of the Greater Mission, and because of where we are, we're right in this, pretty much in the center of some of the homelessness. So we have several things that we do, nothing particularly organized, and we've never really done anything with leverage yet. But I think the idea of finding, because the problem is really with home, particularly in the pandemic, you really couldn't do anything other than give money. It was really hard to have actual on the ground working on something. But anyway, I would love to talk more with people about how to get together both Peace Corps locally and Rotary into homelessness. And I'm not sure at the district level whether we have a specific look at homelessness, but it would certainly be something that would make a lot of sense.
Okay, thank you. And we have one last question. It's, is Peace Corps partnership still around? This is from Eric Scheller.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question is I think it's still around, right? Isn't that where people can also look for projects and for people in their own communities too, or at least it used to be there. I don't know if it's still there. Obviously not now, but since there is no
Dennis?
volunteers out there, but
Dennis, that might be a good one for you. I think that's, are you referring to the grants, the Peace Corps grants program?
no, Peace Corp partnership. You know, you used to be able to hook up, God, what is it called? It's called Peace Corp partnership, right? Yeah. Peace
That's a
Corps
new
partnership
organization.
program connects volunteers and their communities with the private sector of the US and around the world in order to fund community initiated and led projects.
Yeah, so I believe that this often that I believe that if this is the same program, this is the program where if you make a donation, you as a Peace Corps volunteer, you can apply for small grants. And so on our side for donors, I think that's where you can donate. And then the current Peace Corps volunteers could apply for small grants. Is that?
No, I think Eric's talking about a formal partnership, aren't you, Eric, that Rotary used to have with the Peace Corps?
No. I mean, just a little bit of a history. I've been on the board as well early in the late 90s for like 7 years. So that's why I'm not on it anymore. And then I was obviously I'm an RPCV. And then I was also involved in a failed attempt at getting a fellowship started in Rotary with Peace Corps. That didn't work out, but that led to Denver groups starting out and getting the MOU started. But Peace Corps partnership, it's right. She's right in a way. It's where volunteers either submit projects that they need funding for, and then you can select to donate funds to that. You know,
Yes,
so
and we will be giving out, sorry to cut you off there a little bit, but we will be giving out a lot of contact information as a follow-up email after this event. So you might find what you're looking for in that email with a link to that website. I think moving on, Madeline, I think we're ready to move on from question and answer. That seemed to be all the questions.
Yes, and I want to bring everyone's attention to the chat. I think Cal Mann, who is also a returned Peace Corps volunteer and a very active Rotarian, has put in the chat some information about the Peace Corps week is the 20th to 26th. And also during that week, it's actually our 60th anniversary celebration, is a lot of programming in the evenings. I think it's at least 3 nights that week of Rotary and Peace Corps featuring the kinds of projects and work that we've done. And he also notes that there is a bunch of articles that you can read. I believe it's in the Rotary magazine. So there's a lot of examples. Check out your chat, save your chat, and then we will be giving you more information as a follow-up to this evening. I just wanted to make one note, Jenny. The question about working with, I think it was Terry, about Afro-Ecuadorians, that Keith Axtell from actually he's been involved in international committees beyond his own club here in Marin County, but has done years of work with Rotary and Ecuador. So I just want to play a little mental role there, that you might want to reach out to Keith and learn a little bit more about the work that Rotary has been doing in Ecuador quite successfully. So I think with that, thank you for your questions. They were great, and we hope to continue to have these dialogues. Thank you for the idea about the homelessness. Great beginning to our own.
Ask a question.
Yes, Angelo?
Where can I get a list of the countries that have Peace Corps volunteers? The Northern California Peace Corps Association?
Reach out to, I'm going to let Donnie's answer that.
Yes, I would say there is a list available on the peacecorps.gov website of where Peace Corps volunteers have served and were currently serving before they were evacuated due to COVID. You can also reach out to us directly if you're interested in certain countries where RPCVs have served that are in the Bay Area.
Thank you.
So we're really kind of bringing it into the close, and I want to introduce Matoni Griffiths, who's going to kind of wrap things up for you and tell you a little bit about what resources are available and some thoughts about how you can really get started. And I think tonight was a very motivating evening, and we don't want to lose that momentum. Let me tell you a little bit about Matoni. Matoni is the General Manager and Chief Compliance Officer at Vantage Wealth Management in San Mateo. She is an active Rotarian, serving as president of the Rotary Club of Half Moon Bay in 2013 to 2014, and in a number of district-wide positions. She has a passion for humanitarian projects and has raised funding for those in the international as well as the domestic domain. So Matoni, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Madeline. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm thrilled to see so many people here tonight, not just from Rotary, but from RPCVs and also from other Rotary districts outside of District 5150. So welcome and thank you for being here. You know, it's really exciting to see so much passion for international projects, for projects all over the world. And I don't think I need to tell you about Rotary because we've already covered all of that, but I just want to, you know, just let you know, the reason why I became a Rotarian, and I think I've been a Rotarian now for 15 years, is because I really wanted to serve my community. And the reason why I stay a Rotarian for the last 15 years, despite having, you know, my kids grew up in Rotary, and sometimes it's not easy to be a young mom with kids, but Rotary really gave me the outlet to serve my community, and it continues to be that outlet to serve my community. And I want to encourage each and every one of you to continue to do that. If you're not a Rotarian, join us to, you know, serve in these projects. We have so many projects. Rotary has so many projects in our communities and all around the world. Rotary is in more countries than the UN. Rotary is in more countries than the Olympics represented, countries represented in the Olympics. Yes, we have 200, and we represent 220 countries around the world. And that is a pretty amazing thing. The other thing that's really amazing about Rotary, and we can be very proud of, is that we have been great stewards of the funds that we've raised and great stewards of the projects that we are a part of all over the world, just like you've heard from Steve Carlson today. And, you know, I just want to, again, throw a shout out to Keith Baxtel because he brought this to our attention. We are here tonight because of the idea that Keith brought to us. Keith is one of our superstars. If you don't know Keith, you've got to meet him. In the last 8 years, Keith has helped to raise close to maybe over $1 million in funding for projects since that's only counting since 2014. Who knows how much he's raised prior to that, because Keith's been around a little while. And, you know, he has done a phenomenal job of raising funds, creating these projects, and really getting things done. So I want to invite you to join us in projects. There are many projects out here, many clubs who need help with the projects. You know, we have projects going on in the next few weeks, like serving on coastal cleanup days all around San Mateo County, San Francisco, Santa Clara County, Marin County. Many coastal cleanup projects going on around September 18th for Coastal Cleanup Day. There's a project to distribute personal safety alarms to 800 Asian seniors by the Rotary Club of San Francisco. There's a bunch of meal deliveries going on in the next few weeks, and so much more. And you can find out for all of these projects, you can find out from clubs directly. And if, definitely reach out to me if you want to look for a club. I can give you links to find clubs. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. And, for Rotarians, I invite you to reach out to RPCVs and use them as a resource for speakers. In-country knowledge, they are experts. They've lived there. They did this. So definitely reach out to them for expertise for your international projects and local projects as well. And for RPCVs, come and join us. We'd love to have you as part of our workforce and as part of our membership. That's really all. And I thank you so much for being here this evening. I will follow with an email to everyone with resource links and information about the upcoming Rotary and Peace Corps week coming up in mid-September. So thank you. Back to you, Madeline.
Thank you, Matoni, for that inspiring call to action. And we want to thank all of our speakers this evening and all of you attendees for hanging with us during your dinner hour. We also want to thank Bob Jacobson for his behind the scenes Zoom expertise and Jonathan for his etiquette tips. Please be on the lookout. In the next couple of days, you're going to receive an email from us. And in there will be the links to the resources that Matoni referenced and others referenced this evening. And we also want to hear from you. So we're going to include a brief feedback survey. So if you could please fill that out, that would be really helpful for us as we look at how we can really create more of these partnerships moving forward. So we look forward to working together with you as Rotarians and as return Peace Corps volunteers. And I think what we're all about is to make the world a better place. So thank you and good evening. And we hope to be elbow to elbow with you soon. Take care.